B, Parks and Recreation update, Mr. Luther.
Thank you all for having me this afternoon. I'll try to move through this quickly. Obviously, we've got a lot of things going on. Summer's a busy time for us. As you all probably know, July is National Recreation and Parks Month, so I always try to make a tie-in when we have the opportunity to come before you all in July to show thematically what we're sort of connected to. This year's theme is Build Together, Play Together. It's pretty fitting for us. I think you just heard, and I'll touch a little more on what we're doing on the human side to build relationships, to build community. And then obviously I've got a lot in my presentation to go over related to brick and mortar because we also are very much in a build mode in that sense. So with that, I will just jump right in. David did a good job of sort of explaining the landscape. But with this team and this new focus, we really are trying to use our resources to better serve that youth market within the community. We know that particularly the preteens can be sometimes tough to reach. We want to be able to provide a variety of experiences. They are, summer camp is their platform right now, but it's grown into many things. So up on the screen, you're seeing things like at Beulah, we've had the Chesterfield pickleball. Linda Scott came out and has run clinics teaching young people how to play. They are actually the fastest growing demographic within pickleball. And I just got a text from the camp at Beulah. They were asking the kids at Beulah if they could have one wish before the summer was out, what would it be? And they asked for a professional pickleball coach to come in and instruct them. Now, I don't know if that means Linda wasn't sufficient or or whether she just whetted their appetite. But in any event, we have quite a number of youth that are coming in regularly after hours now in the evenings for a pickleball program. We have futsal Fridays that's become very popular. We run a lot of effort, or put in a lot of effort into making nature and outdoors more accessible programmatically. And then you heard Farmer Chris's story. And the good story about Chris is that she has been able to use, again, this platform from summer camp and is creating relationships with the schools. And the intention is to now do, going into the fall and into next spring, some after-school activities where the children from particularly nearby Beulah and Hopkins and other schools can come to a garden location and work to grow a garden after school. So a lot of seeds metaphorically are being planted that we're hoping to bear fruit. Just some fun images. David covered everything from this summer. We wrap up next Thursday. I'll touch on that a little more. We've got a celebration plan. But for these children, and I tell this to all of our camp counselors when they come in, this will be the highlight of most of those children's summer. Many of them, as David said, enroll in multiple sessions. So the team has really made an effort to diversify the experience that they're offered and not just warehouse the children for the full day. And so a lot of enrichment experiences, either going to locations like Pocahontas up in the top right. We took them, they've gone to the movies. We've brought them to the market, to the farmer's market over here. We bring a lot of things to them as well. So they get educational opportunities and programming on the site as well. So again, first summer, new team. We've had some good successes, and we're looking very forward to going forward to building on that. This slide is, I could tell a story about each one of these. This is really just to remind you all that we work very closely with a lot of organizations internal to the county and external to the county. These are all force multipliers for us. We cannot do it without the partnerships and relationships that we build. They help us make better use of our facilities, certainly. They help provide services where they are better than we are. And there's an individual story that goes along with each of these. I will touch on many of them as we roll forward through this presentation, but I just did want to take a moment to acknowledge that the work we do is multiplied by the efforts that we have, or the relationships that we have with a number of organizations. So with that, the first one I'd touch on operationally for you all is, again, relationally, sports is a big focus for us. We are in the facility business. But we partner with, obviously, the sports visitation and entertainment section. They are effectively our marketing and our scheduling and relationship manager. So we recently made the decision organizationally to put all of those responsibilities over with JC and his team. So they're going forward, the conversations, whether you're a local CQL rep for local football or whether you are coming in for the Copa Italiento, you're going to be dealing with and connecting with the same person that's representing Chesterfield County in how we schedule these events. The other big partner in this effort is the school system. And one of the things I want to touch on, and you all know that we have been trying to do a better job of benchmarking our facility conditions. So the next evolution of that is to look at fields. And our focus in that is going to be looking at the school system. Just to paint a quick picture, we currently today have a total inventory of 254 athletic fields spread out across the county. 140 of those are diamonds for baseball and softball, and 114 are rectangles. Most of our diamond complex, about 2/3 of the diamond fields that we use, are on school property. And one of the things that I think as we get into this condition assessment we're going to start getting into is, as you all probably know, many of those school locations, particularly the elementary school locations, have the old model construction of multiple use fields. So you'll see a rectangle with 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 diamonds or infields at each corner. That was an old model, and it's becoming difficult to work. Nobody likes to play football where the end zone is across the infield, creates drainage problems. So I think as we get into this condition assessment, we're going to be identifying opportunities to prioritize decisions about investments into our athletic or sports fields where we can get the most bang for the buck, so to speak, in terms of making an investment and leveling up the quality. I know when Mr. Poma comes and makes his presentation, he will obviously talk about the good story of the folks who are coming in from the outside. I tell him all the time, that's not what I am concerned about. I appreciate what he does because it generates funding justification to reinvest into maintaining or improving quality for our residents. And I always also remind people, even these slides that are all obviously highlighted tournament activities are really not the true story because the bulk of our field assignments still go to local user groups. River City, 60% of our scheduled use out there is local recreation and school use. As a matter of fact, the new Deep Creek Middle School soccer team will be practicing and playing at River City this fall and spring because their field at their school is not quite ready yet. So I just want to remind everybody as we go into this that we in Parks and Recreation do it because of the value that it brings to the community. Along those same lines, just a quick reminder that we have a story in our buildings as well. We have 4 community centers that we program out of currently, and each one has a very unique flavor. It's very much becomes a hub for the community. So around the clock up there, that's Bensley, some activities there. That's Stonebridge, some senior activities at Stonebridge. That in the center is the I think that was the Black History Fair or Expo at Beulah. And then we have a new mural going up. Mr. Ross Brown is finishing up a mural that's at Beulah. But each one of these locations, Ettrick, Bensley, Stonebridge, and Beulah, all are heavily used by the community, again, for multiple programs. And the other thing there, just to remind you, is we also have some relationships that we're drawing from to, again, multiply our impact. So Sportable, as you all will recall, we are entering into a performance arrangement with them where they're going to now start to take over, or they will be operating many of our programs for active adults and getting us into the realm of adaptive sports. Their program lead has actually started. She's embedded at Beulah. this is on your consent agenda tonight to make a procedural transfer, but that process is in place. We've also had discussions with Sportable and the volleyball club about what we can do to better utilize the potential at Stonebridge and make that full building more available to the community. So we are very conscious that our presence in the buildings is important to the community, and we are working collaboratively to maximize that potential. The other thing we do well, I think, and is important to us is we do connect with the community with our events. We have a pretty robust portfolio of activities. Going through in order, that's the Snowball Festival that we held in, I believe it was in end of January or early February. Kite Day. Trunk or Treat is always a huge favorite. Last fall for Trunk or Treat, we had 10,000 folks at Trunk or Treat. I will share that this year we are moving Trunk or Treat to River City to try and diversify the flow of, or not having the situation where people have to stand in line for so long, and we'll see how that works as a proof of concept. I'm going to talk a little more about that as the slideshow progresses, but here we did Outdoor Fest. We had about 3,000 people attend this year. That event in the Hot Wash, we actually now have reached out and are looking to do next year at Pocahontas State Park. We're actually going to move the date to coincide with a trail run they already have there, and really focus on using and being more collaborative with the state park to create a resource. And then 4th of July, 7,700 people within the fence line this year. The overall estimate of attendance was pushing 12,000. So it's a big event. I'll talk a little more about it when we get to the fairgrounds. I think we all know it's a great event. We put a lot of effort. There are challenges and limitations that the fairgrounds as a site has. So we are looking at options again on what we can do if we are going to throw an event that's going to draw that kind of crowd. And then on the smaller side, these are just as important. We very much are in the community. So National Night Out, that's coming up here in 2 weeks. We're adding Beulah this year as a location. We have our back to school backpack giveaway. That's the top right corner. Juneteenth event down at Ettrick. And then last year we had the 2 tree lightings, one at Beulah and one at Ettrick. And then of course we support the one over at Harrogate, at the old Harrogate building. This year we'll round it out with 2 more. We'll have one at Midlothian Mines and one at River City as well. Those events, Beulah and Ettrick each drew about 500 people, give or take. Very community focused and just a great time. And it's a great way to bring the community out into our park and engage in a fun activity. So with that, just bring you all up to speed. I know that we collectively sat down with you all individually as stakeholders when this fairground study kicked off. It's been going about 9 months now. The consultant team is close to wrapping up. We'll be coming back to you all probably, I would say, early fall to sort of share the recommendations. They went through the consultant team. It includes an architect, includes an engineer, and it includes actually a fairground consultant that specializes in going around the country and looking at community fairgrounds, county fairgrounds, and looking to how they can grow and repurpose and evolve. Here up on the slide is one of the early images, and it's really based around, at this point, the feedback that we have received, the team has received. That was feedback from you all. That was feedback from us as Parks and Recreation. Certainly the Fair Association was at the table. And then we did a community outreach. We did an in-person meeting. We sent out about 3,000 mailers. We didn't have very good attendance there. It was about 20 folks who came out. That was intended to really capture the direct neighborhood feedback around the fairgrounds. But then we put out an open survey online. Got about 800 responses on that. And basically the feedback we're getting from the community is that they feel like the fairgrounds is an important location. They feel like it's underutilized or doesn't live up to its potential. And when we kind of ask that open-ended question, there's that pie chart up there, the blue, green, and teal all basically aspirationally talk about the desire to use the fairgrounds for recreation and community use. Those are sort of the theme that was that as you sort through the wants. One of the things, again, getting back to July 4th and the traffic problems, that was noted. It was about an 85% response rate that said the traffic flow is a limiting factor on their decision to go to the location. The consultant team is baking into their assessment and their recommendation on how to structurally repurpose the fairgrounds to look to events in the future where 80 to 85% of the traffic can be actually parked on the site without having to rely on the adjacent school and government center parking. So that by definition is going to start to shrink the kind of event we can have there into the 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 mark, which is about what the fair actually has at any given point in time during their week. It's when we get into those large events that really generates the problem. And so that's going to be one of the things that I think you're going to see out of the program recommendations and the supporting concept plans that the consultant, again, will be bringing forward to you all for review here probably in about 60 days. Along our event chain, I wanted to focus. We've had quite a bit of storyline evolution in how we interpret and work in the historic preservation and historic programming realm. JC's group really started this roll-in with a tagline, that history happened here theme. And the staff that we have in place, and I'm going to talk about Henricus and the changes there in a second, but we have just really focused around the fact that we have in Chesterfield a lot of historically significant locations. We have a lot of human capital in the realm of historical interpretation and to tell these stories. And so we've been very purposeful about marketing and getting taking the show on the road, so to speak, and moving beyond just Henricus and taking that same talent and doing events in other locations. So the event in the top left, we finally got cooperative weather. We had about 600 people at Eppington that made the trip out there. I heard nothing but very good feedback about that. We had a living reenactment of a circuit rider making the announcement of the Battle of Bunker Hill, and it was set in context of what conversations would have been happening here in Chesterfield County, in Virginia in 1780 timeframe. So heard nothing but good things about that. We did the same thing down at Henricus, where the slide on the right, we took the anniversary of the Indigenous Uprising and sort of shifted the narrative of an event at Henricus to tell the perspective of what it would have been like to have been here in April of 1619 when the tribes coordinated a rebellion against the colonists, and a lot of living history vignettes. Again, about 500-600 people came, a free event we put on, and it was just a great way to sort of better tell a story of history. Most recently, we told some story at Rockwood about the impact of Rockwood and its relationship to the courthouse here as a mustering location. So again, a lot of things that are going on to broaden our perspective on the stories that we're telling, the way that we're telling them with our staff, and just as importantly, the way we are creating new relationships with our partners, the Historical Society, the foundation at Eppington, the foundation for Henricus. And along those lines, Henricus, as you all well know, we are sort of unwinding at this point what it means for Henricus Historical Park to be owned, operated, and maintained as a county-supported function, and better define the role going forward for the foundation to stay in a support role where they can do what foundations should do, which is to generate interest and dollars that are earmarked for special purposes. But, excuse me, along with those conversations, one of the things that became very evident with Henricus is the context in which it sits. And the colonial village there is an important piece of it, but Henricus as a piece of the overall Dutch Gap offers a lot more potential. So that leads into the conversations that we have been having with you all about taking Dutch Gap and reimagining it all together as a 1,000-acre park that has history, it has nature, it has water access, it has a number of things that can tie together. So what you see up here is the latest rendering of the physical improvements that support that. The bridge and the road project, as you all know, is well underway. That's being led by CDOT, that is funded with the consent order dollars that were earmarked by Dominion. We are hopefully going to clear the road for construction bidding here sometime late this summer or early fall. So those pieces of it are on track. The rest of it is more conversational at this point. The money that comes forward or was earmarked out of the bond is next fiscal year scheduled appropriation. So we are in the discussions of what we can do to take the old golf course and reimagine it as a focal point for river access, titled James Access. So that project, again, has a lot of storylines, but I think the one takeaway is that thinking about it all as a whole rather than as individual parts positions us to really make the best use of that asset for the community going forward. Real quickly, again, back to the Build Together theme. We have had some recent park openings. We opened up the cricket pitch. We refreshed Katie's Playground at Huguenot. We opened up new community or refreshed the community gardens over at Rockwood. We opened up Kiwanis Park up in the community up there in Chester. So we've had some recent openings and completions. We've got some more that are coming soon. This is an aerial from Monday. It's already dated, but this is the new playground and sprayground at Beulah. That we'll open that with the help of Mr. Holland and all of our summer camp kids next Thursday, I think 10 a.m. Clip a ribbon on that, and then it'll be open to the public for National Night Out on the 5th. So that one is coming down quickly. We have soon to follow the renovated concession building and restroom up at Robius Huguenot Little League. Should be finishing up in the next couple of weeks, so that'll be coming. We've got Winter Park coming along nicely. This is a slide I threw in just because I know you all get a lot of our construction right now is reactive to maintenance issues, and it's planned and unplanned. Just in no particular order, the Green Mile at Rockwood is gone down. That is a slide from, or a shot that I took, I believe it was Monday. I wanted just to show it, but it's already changed. The painting crew, that stripe has been repainted. It's white on the edge. It shouldn't be a double yellow line. It should be two white lines. So that's been done. I think we got 100 and we had a lot more. We had and the logos are down, but that generated a lot of traffic on social media. But I think the takeaway is it underscores how popular Rockwood is as a park, and how many people actually walk and choose to walk along the road in preference to even walking on the trails, just because it's measured, it's perhaps a little easier. So this is a safety measure to basically accommodate where people are and how they're using the park and make that adjustment. Mother Nature has certainly thrown us some curveballs. We lost a boardwalk or a dock at Robius. It floated down. We retrieved it. It wasn't salvageable. That's a piece of the boardwalk where we retrieved it down at Riverside Drive, but it is being put back together. Robius has presented some challenges. Robius is a very loved park. It's not a very large park. It gets about 300,000 visitors annually, and they all, of course, want to congregate at the river. So it does have some challenges. We had some recent trail washouts from the recent rains. We lost some trail and road down at Appomattox. So chasing Mother Nature this year has been challenging. It's been rainy, and that's created problems with grass. Ironically, it becomes difficult to grow new grass when it rains so heavily because the sprigs tend to wash out. And then we have other ones that are planned. So that on the far right are the new shade structures that you all supported going up at CTC Hall on the pickleball courts. The tennis court project is the colors have been selected. The contractor is going to start demolition, I believe, first of the week. The kickoff meeting has been held, and the schools have picked their colors at James River, Matoaka, and Thomasdale. So that project is moving along. So we are obviously in a lot of, and I know I've missed a ton of things that are out there, but just a reminder that we are putting a lot of effort into keeping up with maintenance needs, both reactively when Mother Nature throws us that curveball, and programmatically when we've got planned things that need to happen. Cogwell Park is coming along. That should open up in October. That is the base asphalt for the pickleball, basketball, the restroom, and the shelter. So park's coming along nicely over there. River City, the park is that's an aerial that's probably a couple weeks old. That's coming along. That should be a spring, summer of next year opening. I think that one is going to be pretty exciting for the community. I know there's a lot of demand and interest, so we're anxious for that one to come about. We've been putting a lot of effort into, again, renovating facilities that maybe are showing their age a little bit. So the Diamonds was sort of the first effort. We finished the field work last year. The restroom, that's the concrete pad you see there, is under construction. And then the field wrap, the sort of stadium that you see on the top left and the right is an illustrative, is ready to go out to bid in a couple of weeks. So we're proceeding in an orderly fashion to finish that project up. We have Horner Park. I'm excited about this one. We've landed on the left is the full build out, the concept plan. It includes a new athletic facility, diamond facility in the lower left. It puts a lot of much needed community park features in there. There's you can't really see it. In the sort of center bottom is a 12-court pickleball complex. There's a spray ground, a field archery range, a lot of walking trails, a dog park, a lot of the community features that we hear repeatedly that the community wants are planned for that. And then exciting on the top or the right, we are proceeding with a renovation to what's existing on the baseball side, and those fields are under design right now to be done just like we're doing the renovation work at Rockwood, where the fields will be hybridized so that the outfields are grass and the infields will be synthetic turf for more all-weather playability. We do have the kickoff for the James River Park. This, again, is a combination. This is at the mouth of Falling Creek. We just had the design kickoff for that. These are progress drawings, so I apologize that the graphics are a little odd, but basically a native or a natural focused park at the lower end as you come in adjacent to Drury's Bluff, a playground, a picnic area, a long riverfront trail along the bluffs, descending into what you see on the left there, which is the program for a new boat access that's being paid for by the Dominion dollars. That is to replace the one at Dutch Cap. It includes a road that comes in along Marina Drive. That one is our boat launch is actually in its second round of permit review. Mr. Engel is an old illustrative, so the boat launch is actually a keyhole shown, or it should be where the fishing access is. So the boat launch is into the main river, but you don't launch right into the flow or into the channel. You're protected in a keyhole. But that project, again, combination of Dominion dollars for the access and the boat access piece, the road access, and then a separate development off bond dollars for the nature park and the features that go with that. And then I'll wind up just saying Rockwood, we did a 50th out there. We had a good a good party, a little hot, but Rockwood, I think, is a really interesting story because, again, it's the first park. It's the park that sort of started it all here in the community. We had a good crowd. The market was going on. The market's proven to be very popular. Rockwood, just in traffic count wise, Rockwood, Daniel, and Dodd are all the largest by traffic. They all average around 700,000 by traffic counts annually. And Rockwood, we've made some efforts. You saw the Green Mile. The center slide is the end product once we finish the renovation for the fields. That is scheduled to wrap up in October. It doesn't look like it can get there, but it can happen pretty quickly. That once the concrete goes down for the infield, for the curbing for the infield material to go in, and then they should sprig here middle of August to get the grass in the outfields in place. So it was that park is a special one for us, and we had a good day. And I think Rockwood is also very reflective of the commitment that you all have allowed for us to make improvements, to throw activities and put programming into the park that connects the community with their park space. And so I would end just by saying, again, thank you all for all the support that you've given us, and I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have. I think that was a little more than 3 minutes, but
Board members, any questions or comments? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. I mean, we learned during COVID how important Parks and Rec is, so thank you for that. A couple quick questions. Just an update. Can you give us on Kay's Playground? And I know that there was some things that needed to be done there. What's going on?
Katie's Playground, we have the carpet there on the hill, the little mound.
Right.
Was a punch list item. The installer didn't seam it correctly, so we knew immediately it was going to have to be replaced. And so this is just a timing issue and some arm twisting and some back and forth with the contractor and the subcontractor to come in and do it correctly. So it's all related to how that artificial turf was stretched over the artificial hill there.
So we're on the right track with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people, again, that caught a lot of buzz on social media. It's nothing catastrophic. It was just, it's just like when you build your house and you have, a problem and it needs to be corrected. But it wasn't, it's not a failure. It was just a poor seaming job to begin with that we needed to replace.
And one other question in that this has gotten brought up a lot recently with regard, and this may not even fall under your rubric, but around invasive plants and those kind of things. Do you get a lot of information or get a lot of questions about invasive plants, whether they should or should not be in our parks, that kind of thing?
We don't really get a whole lot of questions. I will say we have had those discussions as we review projects for plant material. And try to use native plants. The biofilter, and I don't have the slide up, at Beulah is a good example. It is a totally native species habitat for biofiltration. We're going to do a little signage there because I was standing there watching the progress on the spray ground, and there were several warblers in that area feeding off of so it was a really cool little micro ecosystem going on. So we just had that conversation about leveraging that for interpretation and awareness. Pulling invasive species out of large tracts of property is a whole different conversation, but we certainly are aware where we can, move the needle, particularly from an educational standpoint, doing that. Farmer Chris is obviously that's top of mind for her as well.
And then finally, just a comment and appreciation for all the work that you have done with regard to the little pocket park over at Rockshire. They're so excited that that's going to be happening, and they're even having like a pre-Rockshire playground kind of party coming up where it's going to be just popsicles, and people are going to be just giving out popsicles, and it's just exciting how important it is to have the parks because of how community building they are. And so thank you for all the work that you do to build our community in that way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Trent, thank you. Tremendous presentation. Outstanding job. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Well, we had a great turnout at Rockwood, and that was amazing. It was a little hot, but that's okay. Thank you so much for that great extravaganza of ice cream and moving back and forth with the speakers. But it turned out great, and I think everybody that I saw had so much fun and enjoyed the tours and the educational aspects of it as well. On the fairground, I saw that on number 4 was miniature golf. I'm all for that, and I'd love to have like a miniature golf tournament, maybe amongst the county staff. Maybe can kick some butt.
Bring it on. The golfer says, bring it on. People don't realize, with Chesterfield County, the size that it is, how much parks is a big part of it. And even in my district, some people, they say, well, I have to go to Rockwood Park. I'm like, what's the matter with Horner Park? It's right there. And it's a great park, and the changes that are going to happen out there are going to be fantastic. And hopefully the goal, and I talked with Dr. Casey about this earlier, is to be able to tie in the new preserve around the high schools through walking trails all the way up to eventually to tie in with the park. And that way, even cross country, for example, the kids that are running cross country, we're going to run those trails all the way from the high school complex, middle school complex, elementary complex, all the way up into the park area. But it's, your staff does a tremendous job. I don't know if we ever tell them thank you enough. Every time there's an issue that comes up in one of the parks and we ask it to be addressed, it's taken care of, and it's taken care of right. I brought some things to your attention down in Ettrick. Within days they were fixed. So again, pass along how grateful we are for all the hard work that they do.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, since you got all these compliments now, do want to remind you a couple things. Looking for the both boat ramps to open at similar time frames. Both of them, I think, are going to be important to access for the citizens to the river. That, quite frankly, the current ramp, although they're happy to have it, is subpar and have issues down there. So having both of those open up is vitally important for the community. And do you know when the splash zone at Bensley is going to open?
We're getting another price on that. We canceled the last bid, and then we're going to have to come back and talk about the funding for it.
All right.
So
we promised that to people. We need to make sure we deliver it.
I will say anecdotally, I saw just the splash pad. I know when this one opens because I've seen it. They're going to be very popular. I think there's a misconception in the public. I saw a post where a mom was saying that she was anxious to have one. She figured they would be $20,000 to $30,000. So they're a little more than that. They're going to run in the range for a small one in the $600,000 to $700,000 range. So nothing. I mean, fun does. These things are not inexpensive. So we busted that bid. It was a general that was marking it up, and are going to come back with a true price for you.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one additional comment, if I may briefly. I forgot to mention, and that is on Friday, we will have the 2025 Pony World Series
Yes.
here in Chesterfield County at Harry Daniels Park. And of course, these are 11-year-olds from around the country and the world, Mexico included. And so I'm very proud of that. So if you have an opportunity, you want to see some baseball, future stars, come out to the Harry Daniels Park Friday afternoon. Thank you. And this weekend.
I'll end on a better note. I do appreciate everything you're doing for the county.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate it as well. So thank you for your time.